In the heart of the bustling city, where skyscrapers pierce the sky and the hum of ambition is almost tangible, Blake Industries stood as a beacon of innovation and success. Leading this technological titan was Ryan Blake, a name spoken with reverence in boardrooms and tech conferences alike. Ryan Blake was more than just a CEO. He was a force of nature. Tall and exuding unshakable confidence, he navigated the business world with the precision of a master chess player. His striking blue eyes, sharp and piercing, could both inspire and intimidate, reflecting his relentless drive and perfectionist nature. Under Ryan's leadership, Blake Industries reached unprecedented heights. From groundbreaking software solutions to cutting-edge hardware developments, the company became a powerhouse, a testament to Ryan's visionary strategies and unyielding work ethic. His presence commanded respect, and his decisions shaped the future of the tech industry. Yet, behind his charm and charisma, Ryan Blake possessed an edge that kept others at a distance. His confidence often crossed into arrogance, creating an atmosphere of tension among his employees. He demanded excellence, tolerating nothing less than perfection, and his direct, sometimes harsh approach left little room for warmth or camaraderie. However, Ryan wasn't entirely indifferent. Beneath the veneer of the high-powered executive lay a man burdened by the shadows of his past. Unseen by the world, Ryan grappled with insecurities and unresolved traumas that fueled his insatiable quest for success and control. As Ryan Blake's story unfolds, it becomes clear that even the most formidable leaders have their own battles to fight, hidden behind the polished facades they present to the world. In the corridors of Blake Industries, the true essence of Ryan Blake, both his brilliance and his flaws, would soon be laid bare, setting the stage for a journey of transformation that no one could have anticipated. Ryan Blake's office, perched on the top floor of Blake Industries, offered a panoramic view of the city he ruled. The walls were adorned with accolades and photos of him with influential figures, each a testament to his meteoric rise. But behind the closed doors and polished exterior, there was a different side to Ryan that few ever glimpsed. Late at night, when the city lights twinkled like distant stars and the hustle of the day had faded, Ryan often found himself alone in his office, staring out at the sprawling cityscape. These moments were far removed from the confident CEO persona he projected. His mind would wander back to his childhood, to memories he tried so hard to bury. The echo of his father's stern words, the feeling of never being quite good enough, and the constant pressure to achieve more haunted him. These memories fueled his relentless drive, but also sowed the seeds of deep-seated insecurities. Despite his achievements, Ryan never felt the fulfillment he thought success would bring. Each milestone was merely a fleeting victory, quickly overshadowed by the fear of inadequacy and failure. He hid these fears well behind a mask of arrogance and an ironclad demeanor that brooked no weakness. To his employees, Ryan was a perfectionist who demanded nothing short of excellence. His direct and often brusque manner left many feeling undervalued and alienated. Yet, this was not a reflection of their abilities, but rather a projection of Ryan's internal struggles. The more he pushed them, the more he was really pushing himself, desperate to escape the shadows of his past. His interactions were meticulously calculated, every move a strategic play to maintain control and keep his vulnerabilities hidden. Even those closest to him, like his assistant Emma Reed, saw only glimpses of the man beneath the armor. Emma, with her keen perception, occasionally caught the flicker of pain in his eyes, but she never pried, respecting the boundaries he so firmly established. In the solitude of his office, surrounded by the trappings of success, Ryan would sometimes allow himself a moment of honesty. He would acknowledge, if only to himself, the hollowness that accompanied his triumphs. He was a man constantly at war with himself, striving to conquer the demons that no amount of power or prestige could silence. This internal conflict, buried deep within, was the true engine of Blake Industries. It drove Ryan to push boundaries and achieve the impossible, but it also kept him isolated, trapped in a cycle of relentless ambition and unacknowledged pain. And it was this hidden side of Ryan Blake that would eventually set the stage for a journey he never anticipated, one that would force him to confront the very fears he had spent a lifetime avoiding. Amidst the high-stakes world of Blake Industries, where deadlines were relentless and the pursuit of innovation unyielding, one person navigated the chaos with grace and competence: Emma Reed. For nearly a decade, Emma had been the steadfast anchor in Ryan Blake's whirlwind of ambition. In her early 30s, Emma possessed a poised demeanor that belied her inner strength and resilience. She had an uncanny ability to anticipate Ryan's needs, often before he even voiced them. Her organizational skills were legendary within the company, but it was her loyalty and understanding that truly set her apart. To outsiders, Emma might have seemed merely an efficient assistant, but those who worked closely with her knew she was the linchpin of Blake Industries. She managed Ryan's hectic schedule, fielded countless calls, and handled crises with a calm that bordered on the miraculous. Her desk, just outside Ryan's office, was a hub of activity where problems were solved and plans meticulously crafted. Despite the demanding nature of her job, Emma never lost her composure. Her relationship with Ryan was unique, marked by mutual respect and a deep, albeit often unspoken, understanding. Ryan's brusque and sometimes harsh demeanor did not faze her. She saw beyond his facade to the complexities beneath. She knew of his perfectionism, his unyielding standards, and the internal battles he fought daily. Emma was the only person who dared to challenge Ryan when needed. She did so not with confrontation, but with subtlety and insight. Her gentle yet firm guidance often helped him navigate particularly turbulent times. Ryan trusted her judgment implicitly, a rare gift in a world where he trusted so few. Their bond was forged through years of working side by side, facing the highs and lows of corporate life together. Emma had been there for every major milestone, every crisis averted, and every victory celebrated. She had seen Ryan at his best and his worst, and she remained unwavering in her support. But Emma was not just a fixture in Ryan's professional life. She had her own dreams and aspirations, ones she had quietly set aside in the pursuit of excellence at Blake Industries. Her patience and dedication masked a yearning for something more, a desire to carve out her own path and find her own success. Emma's presence was a constant in Ryan's life, a reminder that amidst the relentless drive for achievement, there was still room for genuine human connection. Her departure, when it came, would be a seismic shift, forcing Ryan to confront not only the loss of his most trusted ally, but also the deeper feelings he had long suppressed. For now, though, Emma remained the calm center of Ryan's storm, the quiet strength that balanced his relentless drive. She was the one person who truly understood the man behind the title, and her impact on his life and the company was immeasurable. In the intricate dance of power and ambition, Emma Reed was the grounding force, the unsung hero who kept everything from spiraling out of control. Every morning, just as the sun cast its first rays over the city, Blake Industries buzzed to life. Employees streamed through the sleek glass doors, greeted by the modern elegance of the lobby. The air was thick with a sense of purpose and urgency. Here, excellence was not an option but a mandate. At the heart of this bustling hive was Ryan Blake, the man who set the relentless pace. Ryan arrived early, often before most of his staff, and his presence alone injected a sense of heightened anticipation into the day. His stride was purposeful as he moved through the corridors, his sharp gaze taking in every detail. Meetings dominated Ryan's schedule, each one a critical junction where strategies were devised and decisions made. The boardroom was his arena, a place where he thrived. His voice commanded attention, slicing through the air with authority. Colleagues and subordinates alike listened intently, taking notes, their faces a mix of admiration and anxiety. Ryan's demand for perfection was palpable. Mistakes were not merely errors. They were failures that could derail the company's forward momentum. His feedback, often blunt, left no room for misinterpretation. He believed that only through rigorous standards and unwavering discipline could they achieve the success he envisioned. Emma Reed, his trusted assistant, was the quiet orchestrator behind much of the day's chaos. Her desk, situated strategically outside Ryan's office, was a hub of coordination. She managed his appointments with military precision, fielding calls and emails with a calm efficiency that belied the storm of activity surrounding her. Despite the high-pressure environment, there was an unspoken rhythm to the day. Teams worked in sync, aware that any lapse in concentration could draw Ryan's ire. Yet, there were moments of camaraderie too, shared smiles over a rare break, brief exchanges that hinted at lives beyond the office walls. Lunches were often working affairs, a quick bite grabbed between meetings or a sandwich consumed while poring over financial reports. Ryan rarely left his office during these times, preferring solitude to think and plan. He was a man constantly in motion, both physically and mentally, his mind a whirlwind of strategies and contingencies. As the day stretched into evening, the office would gradually empty out, but Ryan remained. The glow from his office window was a beacon to the city, a signal that Blake Industries never truly slept. Late-night brainstorming sessions, meetings, video conferences with international partners, and last-minute adjustments to project plans were all part of his routine. It was during these quieter hours that the facade sometimes slipped. Alone in his office, surrounded by the trappings of success, Ryan allowed himself fleeting moments of introspection. He would gaze out at the city skyline, a sea of lights mirroring the countless decisions and sacrifices that had brought him here. The daily grind at Blake Industries was a testament to Ryan Blake's relentless drive and unyielding standards. It was a world where ambition and pressure coexisted in a delicate balance, each day a new challenge, each victory hard-won. And at the center of it all was Ryan, the driving force, constantly pushing the limits of what was possible, even as he grappled with the unseen battles within. In the gleaming boardrooms and bustling hallways of Blake Industries, Ryan Blake's reputation preceded him. Known as a leader of remarkable prowess, his confidence could galvanize a team and turn ambitious ideas into reality. But this confidence, so integral to his success, often teetered on the edge of arrogance, casting a long shadow over his interactions with others. Ryan's office was a testament to his achievements. Awards, framed articles, and memorabilia from industry conferences adorned the walls. His desk, meticulously organized, reflected his perfectionist nature. As he sat behind it, his presence exuded an aura of unshakable self-assurance. Yet, this same confidence that inspired awe also bred resentment. Ryan's approach was unapologetically direct. He minced no words in expressing his expectations and critiques. During meetings, he was quick to point out flaws, often in a manner that left little room for discussion. "That won't work," he'd declare, his tone brooking no argument. "We need to be smarter, faster, better." For many, these interactions were a double-edged sword. On one hand, they were motivated by his clear vision and high standards. On the other, they felt diminished by his sharp criticism and lack of empathy. The atmosphere at Blake Industries was one of high tension and relentless pursuit of perfection, largely driven by Ryan's formidable personality. Employees often shared furtive glances and whispered conversations about his latest demands or outbursts. They respected his intellect and admired his achievements, but few felt a personal connection with him. Ryan's inability to connect on a deeper level left a void, a sense of alienation that pervaded the workplace. Despite his sharp edges, Ryan was not oblivious to the impact of his behavior. In quieter moments, away from the scrutinizing eyes of his team, he would ponder the thin line between confidence and arrogance. He knew that his drive for excellence sometimes morphed into insensitivity, pushing people away. Yet, breaking free from this cycle proved challenging. His past had ingrained in him a fear of vulnerability, a belief that any sign of weakness could undermine his authority. One of the few who navigated Ryan's complexities with ease was Emma Reed. Her unwavering support and calm demeanor provided a counterbalance to his intensity. She had a way of softening his rough edges, gently steering him away from the brink of arrogance with her quiet wisdom. In her presence, Ryan occasionally allowed himself to be more open, more reflective. Even so, the struggle between confidence and arrogance remained a constant in Ryan's life. His interactions, though effective in driving performance, often left a trail of strained relationships and unspoken resentments. It was a precarious balance, one that Ryan had yet to master, and it colored every aspect of his leadership at Blake Industries. The duality of Ryan Blake's nature, his brilliance shadowed by his arrogance, set the stage for the challenges and transformations that lay ahead. In a world where ambition reigned supreme, he would need to confront the very traits that had brought him success if he were to truly connect with those around him and find the deeper fulfillment he sought. In a sea of fleeting glances and hurried conversations, Emma Reed stood out as the calm amidst the storm that was Blake Industries. For nearly 10 years, she had been Ryan Blake's assistant, confidant, and, at times, his only true ally. Where others saw a daunting and often unreachable figure in Ryan, Emma saw a man layered with complexities and contradictions. Emma had a presence that was both soothing and steadfast. Her desk, positioned just outside Ryan's office, was a beacon of order and efficiency. She handled every crisis with a composed grace that belied the whirlwind of activity surrounding her. From managing Ryan's relentless schedule to fielding calls and emails, she did it all with a quiet competence that earned her respect throughout the company. But what truly set Emma apart was her unique relationship with Ryan. She understood him in ways no one else did. While most saw only his sharp edges and demanding nature, Emma saw the undercurrents of insecurity and the weight of past traumas that fueled his relentless drive. She was the exception to his rule of detachment, the one person who could see past his formidable exterior to the vulnerable man beneath. Their interactions were a study in subtlety. Emma had an uncanny ability to anticipate Ryan's needs and moods, often defusing potential conflicts before they erupted. She knew when to push back gently, offering alternative perspectives without challenging his authority outright. Her insights and suggestions, always delivered with tact, often guided him through the murky waters of corporate decision-making. In meetings, Ryan's demeanor was as commanding as ever, but Emma's presence added a layer of nuance. She was his sounding board, the one he turned to for a reality check. Her calm, measured voice could temper his more impulsive tendencies, and her quiet confidence provided a counterbalance to his intensity. Where Ryan was all sharp angles and forceful energy, Emma was the steady hand that kept the ship on course. Despite the demands of her role, Emma never lost sight of her own dreams. She harbored aspirations beyond the walls of Blake Industries, a desire to explore her passions and forge her own path. Yet, her loyalty to Ryan and the unique bond they shared kept her anchored. She saw potential in him that few others did, and she believed in his capacity for growth and change. Emma's impact on Ryan was profound, though often unacknowledged. In her, he found a rare blend of professionalism and empathy, someone who could navigate his complexities with patience and understanding. She was the exception to his detachment, the person who could gently pull him back when he teetered on the edge of arrogance and insensitivity. In the quiet moments between the whirlwind of meetings and deadlines, Ryan sometimes allowed himself to fully appreciate Emma's presence. He recognized, if only fleetingly, how much he relied on her steadiness and insight. She was a constant reminder that behind the facade of the powerful CEO, there was room for connection, empathy, and understanding. Emma Reed was not just an assistant. She was a cornerstone of Ryan's world. Her departure, when it eventually came, would shake the very foundation of Blake Industries and force Ryan to confront the deeper truths he had long avoided. But for now, she remained the quiet force that balanced his relentless drive, the exception in a world where few dared to truly know him. The morning began like any other at Blake Industries. The sun had barely risen, casting a golden hue over the city, as employees filtered into the sleek, glass-fronted building. Ryan Blake was already in his office, engrossed in a complex set of financial reports, his mind racing through numbers and projections. He thrived in this early hour of quiet focus before the day's chaos truly began. Emma Reed arrived punctually, as she always did, her presence a calm counterbalance to Ryan's intensity. She moved through her tasks with practiced efficiency, arranging meetings, fielding calls, and preparing for the day ahead. But today, something was different. A tension lay beneath her composed exterior, a weight that had been growing for weeks. After ensuring that Ryan was settled into his first meeting, Emma took a deep breath and made her way back to her desk. Her fingers trembled slightly as she drafted the email that would change everything. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind, yet now that it was here, the reality felt overwhelming. Ryan returned to his office, a triumphant gleam in his eye from the successful meeting. He barely had time to sit down before Emma approached, her face set with a resolve he rarely saw. "Ryan, do you have a moment?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil within her. He looked up, sensing the gravity of her tone. "Of course, Emma. What is it?" he replied, a hint of concern edging into his voice. She handed him a neatly folded letter. "This is my resignation. I've decided it's time for me to pursue my own dreams and find a new path." For a moment, the world seemed to tilt off its axis. Ryan stared at the letter, unable to process the words. Emma, his unwavering anchor, was leaving. The shock hit him like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of his sails. "Emma, what do you mean? You're leaving?" Emma nodded, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of sadness and determination. "Yes, Ryan. Something I've been considering for a while. I need to follow my own path and find my own happiness." Ryan felt a knot tighten in his chest. He was a man who thrived on control and certainty, and this news shattered both. "But why? Is it something I've done?" something the company can change. His voice was laced with a rare vulnerability. It's not about the company or anything you've done, Emma explained gently. I've given a decade of my life to Blake Industries, and now it's time for me to explore my own aspirations. This decision isn't easy for me, but it's necessary. Ryan struggled to find the right words. He leaned back in his chair, the weight of the situation settling heavily on his shoulders. Emma, you're indispensable. I can't imagine this place without you. A soft, understanding smile touched her lips. You'll manage, Ryan. You're stronger than you think. And who knows, maybe this change will be good for both of us. In the silence that followed, Ryan felt the enormity of her words. Emma's departure was not just a professional loss. It was a personal blow that struck at the very heart of his carefully constructed world. He realized, perhaps for the first time, how deeply he relied on her, not just for her competence, but for her presence and understanding. Emma rose to leave, giving Ryan one last look filled with unspoken emotion. I'll be here for the next 2 weeks to help with the transition. After that, it's time for me to move on. As she walked out of his office, Ryan was left with a tumult of emotions: shock, sadness, and a dawning realization of the void she would leave behind. He sat there, staring at the resignation letter, knowing that this moment marked the beginning of a profound change. Emma Reed, the constant in his turbulent world, was stepping away, and with her departure, Ryan would be forced to confront not only the logistics of filling her role, but the deeper truths about himself and his own journey. The shock of Emma's resignation lingered like a dark cloud over Ryan Blake. The following days at Blake Industries moved forward with their usual relentless pace, but for Ryan, time seemed to slow down, each moment filled with a sense of disbelief and mounting anxiety. The evening after Emma's announcement, Ryan found himself alone in his penthouse apartment, staring out at the city skyline. The lights of the city twinkled below, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within him. He had always prided himself on his ability to maintain control, to steer the course of his life and his company with unwavering precision. But now, he felt that control slipping through his fingers. His thoughts drifted back to his conversation with Emma. He replayed her words over and over in his mind, each repetition deepening the sense of loss. She had been more than just an assistant. She had been a confidant, a stabilizing force. Her understanding of his complexities, her patience with his flaws, these were things he had taken for granted, things he now realized he desperately needed. Ryan tried to focus on work, burying himself in projects and meetings. He hoped that the familiar rhythm of his responsibilities would drown out the nagging doubts and fears. But Emma's absence was palpable. Every interaction, every decision, reminded him of the void she was leaving behind. One evening, unable to concentrate, Ryan picked up the phone and dialed Emma's number. It rang several times before she answered. "Hello, Ryan," she said, her voice calm and composed. "Emma, I need to understand," Ryan began, his voice betraying a rare vulnerability. "Why now? Why leave when everything is going so well?" There was a pause on the other end, and Ryan could almost see Emma's thoughtful expression. "Ryan, this isn't about timing or success," she explained gently. "It's about my own journey. I need to find fulfillment outside of this role. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time." Ryan felt a pang of regret. "I should have seen this coming. I should have done something." "It's not your fault, Ryan," Emma reassured him. "This is my decision, and it's about my needs. You've always been a remarkable leader, but it's time for me to be my own leader now." Her words struck a chord, resonating with a truth Ryan had been avoiding. He realized he had always seen Emma as an extension of his own ambition, never fully acknowledging her own dreams and aspirations. This realization was a hard pill to swallow. As the days passed, Ryan's initial shock gave way to introspection. He began to reflect on his relationship with Emma, on the ways he had relied on her not just professionally but emotionally. He saw, with startling clarity, how her departure was a mirror reflecting his own shortcomings, his inability to connect on a deeper level with those around him. In the privacy of his office, Ryan allowed himself moments of unguarded emotion. He sifted through memories of his interactions with Emma, the quiet conversations, the moments of shared understanding. He began to see her not just as an assistant but as a pivotal part of his life, someone who had helped him navigate the complexities of his world with grace and insight. Ryan's reaction to Emma's resignation was more than just professional concern. It was a deeply personal awakening. He realized he had been coasting on a surface-level existence, focused on success and control, but missing the deeper connections that gave life true meaning. Emma's decision forced him to confront his own vulnerabilities and the walls he had built around his heart. As the reality of Emma's departure settled in, Ryan knew he faced a choice. He could continue down the path of isolation, clinging to his facade of control, or he could begin the difficult journey of opening up, of learning to value and nurture the connections that made life richer. Emma's resignation was a turning point, a catalyst for change that would challenge him to grow in ways he had never anticipated. The realization that Emma was truly leaving hit Ryan Blake harder than he had anticipated. The days following her resignation were filled with a haze of confusion and self-reflection. For the first time in years, Ryan found himself grappling with emotions he had long kept buried. Each morning, he walked into Blake Industries feeling the weight of an unfamiliar void. Emma's desk, once a hub of activity and reassurance, now seemed eerily silent. Her absence was a constant reminder of the impending change, and with it, a gnawing fear of what lay ahead. Ryan prided himself on being unflappable, but the truth was he felt lost. One evening, after another long day of meetings and decision-making, Ryan decided to confront his feelings head-on. He poured himself a glass of whiskey and sat in the dimly lit study of his penthouse. The city lights flickered outside, but tonight, their usual brilliance felt distant and cold. He thought back to his childhood, to the rigid expectations of his father and the constant pressure to excel. Ryan had learned early on that vulnerability was a weakness, something to be hidden away. Success became his armor, a way to shield himself from the fear of inadequacy that had haunted him for as long as he could remember. But now that armor was starting to crack. Emma's departure had exposed the raw nerves beneath, forcing him to confront the insecurities he had so carefully concealed. He realized that his relentless drive for perfection was not just about achieving success. It was a way to prove his worth, to silence the doubts that whispered in the back of his mind. Ryan's thoughts drifted to his interactions with Emma over the years. She had been a steady presence, her calm demeanor and insightful advice guiding him through countless challenges. He had come to rely on her in ways he hadn't fully appreciated until now. Her understanding and patience had provided a counterbalance to his intense, often abrasive nature. In the solitude of his study, Ryan allowed himself to acknowledge the truth he had been avoiding. He was afraid of being vulnerable, of showing weakness, of losing control. Emma's decision to leave had brought these fears to the forefront, stripping away the facade he had built and leaving him exposed. The next day, Ryan knew he had to take action. He called Emma into his office, determined to have an honest conversation. She entered with her usual poise, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Ryan, what can I do for you?" she asked, her voice steady. Ryan took a deep breath, steeling himself for the conversation. "Emma, I need to understand something," he began, his tone softer than usual. "Your decision to leave, it's made me realize how much I've relied on you, and not just professionally. You've been a constant in my life, and I've taken that for granted." Emma looked at him, her expression a mix of empathy and determination. "Ryan, I've always respected you and valued our working relationship, but this is something I need to do for myself. It's about finding my own path and fulfillment." Ryan nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "I understand that, Emma. I really do. But I also need to say that your leaving has forced me to confront a lot of things about myself. Things I've been avoiding for a long time." Emma's eyes softened. "Ryan, acknowledging that is the first step. It takes a lot of courage to face your fears and insecurities. I believe you can grow from this, both as a leader and as a person." The conversation left Ryan with a sense of clarity he hadn't felt in years. Emma's words resonated deeply, reinforcing his determination to change. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to confront the reality of his own limitations and work towards becoming a better version of himself. Ryan's journey of self-discovery had begun, and with it, the realization that true strength came from embracing vulnerability and forging genuine connections. Emma's departure was not just an end, but the beginning of a new chapter, one where Ryan would learn to balance ambition with empathy, control with openness, and success with true personal fulfillment. In the days that followed Emma's resignation, Ryan Blake found himself plunged into a deep well of reflection. The routine that once anchored him now felt hollow, each task a reminder of the looming absence that would soon reshape his world. In the quiet moments, away from the ceaseless demands of Blake Industries, Ryan began to sift through the fragments of his past, seeking understanding in the shadows that haunted him. One evening, long after the office had emptied, Ryan remained at his desk, the soft glow of his computer screen casting long shadows across the room. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo album, its leather cover worn from years of handling. It had been a long time since he had looked through it, preferring to keep those memories buried. But now, driven by a need to confront his past, he carefully turned the pages. The photographs told a story of a boy growing up under the stern gaze of his father, a man whose expectations were as high as the skyscrapers Ryan now commanded. There were pictures of Ryan at various school events, always with a medal or a certificate in hand, his father's approving yet distant smile in the background. These images were a testament to the relentless pursuit of excellence that had been instilled in him from a young age. Ryan's father had been a towering figure, both literally and metaphorically. A successful businessman in his own right, he had pushed Ryan to excel, to be the best in everything he did. Failure was not an option. It was a stain that could never be washed away. Ryan had internalized these lessons, adopting them as his own creed. But with them came a crushing weight of expectation and a deep-seated fear of inadequacy. As he looked at a photo of his younger self, standing proudly next to a science fair project, Ryan remembered the hours he had spent perfecting every detail. His father's voice echoed in his mind, "You can always do better, Ryan. Never settle for anything less than perfection." Those words, meant to inspire, had instead become a relentless mantra that drove him to the brink of exhaustion. Another photo caught his eye, this one of his mother, her warm smile a stark contrast to his father's stern demeanor. She had been the softer presence in his life, offering gentle encouragement and quiet support. Her death when Ryan was in his early teens had left a void that no amount of success could fill. It was then that he had truly begun to shut down emotionally, erecting walls to protect himself from further pain. The memories stirred something within him, a recognition of the patterns that had shaped his life. He saw how his father's influence had molded him into the demanding, perfectionist leader he was today. And he saw how his mother's loss had taught him to guard his heart, to avoid emotional connections that might lead to more hurt. Ryan's thoughts shifted to Emma and the unique relationship they had shared. She had been a steady presence, her empathy and understanding providing a rare source of comfort in his otherwise guarded world. Emma had seen through his facade, offering support without judgment, and challenging him to be more than just his father's son. Her departure was forcing him to confront the very emotions he had spent a lifetime suppressing. In the silence of his office, Ryan felt the stirrings of a profound transformation. He realized that the path to becoming a better leader and a better person lay not in the pursuit of perfection, but in embracing his vulnerabilities and learning from them. It was time to break free from the shadows of his past and forge a new way forward, one where empathy and connection were as valued as ambition and success. Closing the photo album, Ryan knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, fraught with challenges and self-doubt. But for the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope. He was ready to confront his past, to heal the wounds that had shaped him, and to build a future where he could lead with both strength and compassion. Ryan Blake had never been one to easily accept defeat. Emma's resignation had shaken him, but it also ignited a determination within him to try and change her mind. He couldn't fathom the idea of Blake Industries without her. More importantly, he couldn't imagine facing his own uncertainties and vulnerabilities without her steady presence. One rainy morning, Ryan decided it was time to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Emma. He had spent countless hours rehearsing what he wanted to say, struggling to find the right words that would convey both his professional and personal reliance on her. The city outside was shrouded in gray mist, the weather mirroring his somber mood as he walked into the office. Emma was already at her desk, her fingers moving deftly across the keyboard. Ryan approached her with uncharacteristic hesitance. "Emma, can we talk for a moment?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of the vulnerability he usually kept well hidden. Emma looked up, sensing the gravity in his tone. She nodded, and they moved into Ryan's office. He closed the door behind them, the quiet click of the latch amplifying the tension in the room. They sat down, the large desk between them feeling more like a barrier than ever before. "Emma," Ryan began, breaking the silence, "I've been thinking a lot about your decision to leave and how much you've meant to this company and to me. I don't know how we'll manage without you, but I want to make sure that your transition is as smooth as possible." Emma nodded, appreciating his concern. "I've been working on a transition plan," she said, sliding a detailed document across the desk. "I've identified potential candidates who can take over my responsibilities, and I've outlined all the critical tasks and processes that need to be covered." Ryan glanced through the document, impressed by her thoroughness. "This is excellent, Emma, but I'm not just worried about the logistics. I'm also worried about you. How are you feeling about everything?" Emma smiled softly. It's bittersweet, to be honest. I've loved my time here, and leaving isn't easy. But I know it's the right decision for me. I need to find my own path and see what else is out there. Ryan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. I respect that, Emma, more than you know. And I want you to know that you'll always have a place here, no matter what. Your contributions have been invaluable. In the days that followed, Emma worked tirelessly to ensure a seamless handover of her duties. She trained her successor, a bright and capable young woman named Grace, imparting years of knowledge and wisdom. She introduced Grace to key contacts, explained the nuances of various projects, and shared insights on how to navigate the intricate dynamics of Blake Industries. Ryan observed this transition with a mixture of pride and sadness. Emma's professionalism and dedication were evident in every interaction, every piece of advice she offered. Her influence would continue to shape the company long after she had left, a testament to the legacy she was leaving behind. But Emma's impact extended beyond her professional capabilities. She had a unique ability to connect with people on a personal level, to make them feel valued and understood. Her presence had a way of calming the storm, of bringing clarity to chaos. She was a confidant, a mentor, and a friend to many within the company. One evening, as the office was winding down, Emma found herself alone in the break room, sipping a cup of tea. Ryan joined her, carrying his own mug of coffee. They sat in companionable silence for a few moments, reflecting on the journey they had shared. Emma, Ryan said finally, breaking the quiet, I want to thank you for everything you've done, not just for the company, but for me personally. You've been a rock, and I don't know how I would have gotten through some of these challenges without you. Emma smiled, touched by his sincerity. It's been my pleasure, Ryan. I've learned a lot here, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had. I know you're going to do great things, and I'm excited to see where Blake Industries goes from here. Ryan raised his mug in a toast. To new beginnings, then, for both of us. Emma clinked her mug against his, a sense of closure and optimism settling between them. As she prepared to embark on her new journey, she knew that her time at Blake Industries had been meaningful and impactful, and she felt confident that, despite the challenges ahead, both she and Ryan were on paths that would lead to growth and fulfillment. Emma's departure marked the end of an era, but it also heralded the start of a new chapter. For Ryan, it was a chapter defined by the lessons she had imparted, the importance of empathy, the value of genuine connections, and the power of leading with both heart and mind. As the days passed after his heartfelt conversation with Emma, Ryan Blake embarked on a journey that felt both daunting and necessary. The realization that he needed to change had settled deeply within him, pushing him to confront the parts of himself he had long ignored. This was a path of self-discovery, one that required him to look inward and face his vulnerabilities head-on. Ryan's first step was to seek guidance. He reached out to a highly regarded executive coach, someone who specialized in leadership development and personal growth. It was a humbling experience for Ryan, a man who had always prided himself on his self-sufficiency, to admit that he needed help. But he was determined to break free from his old patterns and build a better future. In their initial sessions, the coach, a woman named Dr. Laura Grant, helped Ryan unravel the complexities of his past. She guided him through exercises designed to explore his childhood memories, the influence of his parents, and the emotional walls he had constructed. It was a difficult process, filled with moments of discomfort and revelation. One particularly challenging session delved into the expectations his father had imposed on him. Ryan recalled the relentless pressure to succeed, the fear of failure that had driven him to perfectionism. Dr. Grant encouraged him to reflect on how these early experiences had shaped his current behavior, especially his inability to connect with others on a deeper level. You've built your life on a foundation of excellence, Ryan, she said gently, but that foundation has cracks. To be a truly effective leader and fulfilled individual, you need to address those cracks and understand that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. Ryan took her words to heart. He began to journal his thoughts and feelings, something he had never done before. Each entry was an exploration of his inner world, a way to process the emotions he had long suppressed. The act of writing was both cathartic and enlightening, revealing layers of himself that he had never fully acknowledged. At work, Ryan started to apply what he was learning. He made a conscious effort to listen more and speak less, to engage with his employees in meaningful conversations rather than just transactional interactions. He began to notice things he had previously overlooked: the stress on a junior team member's face, the subtle signs of burnout in his managers. One afternoon, during a team meeting, Ryan decided to try something new. Instead of leading the discussion with his usual authoritative style, he opened the floor to his team, encouraging them to share their thoughts and ideas. It was an uncomfortable shift for him, but the response was immediate and positive. His employees, sensing the change in his approach, spoke more freely and contributed more openly. This new way of leading was not without its challenges. Ryan found it difficult to let go of control, to trust others fully. But with each small step, he felt a shift within himself, a softening of the rigid boundaries he had maintained for so long. Emma, still working her final days at Blake Industries, observed these changes with a mixture of pride and hope. She saw Ryan making genuine efforts to connect, to be more present and empathetic. It was a testament to his commitment to growth and a sign that her departure, while difficult, was prompting positive change. One evening, as the office began to empty out, Ryan sat in his chair, reflecting on his journey so far. The path of self-discovery was arduous and ongoing, but he felt a sense of purpose that had been missing for a long time. He was learning to balance his drive for success with the need for connection, to lead with both strength and compassion. The road ahead was still uncertain, but Ryan was no longer afraid to face it. He was ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, armed with a newfound understanding of himself and a commitment to becoming the best version of the man he could be. As Ryan Blake began his journey of self-discovery and personal growth, Blake Industries was also facing a series of professional challenges that would test his newfound resolve. The company's latest product launch, a cutting-edge software suite designed to revolutionize data management, was encountering unexpected obstacles. Technical glitches, supply chain delays, and increasing pressure from competitors threatened to derail the project. Ryan had always thrived under pressure, but this time felt different. His usual approach of charging forward with relentless intensity now seemed inadequate. He needed to apply the lessons he was learning about empathy and connection to navigate this crisis effectively. One morning, Ryan called an emergency meeting with his core team. As they gathered in the sleek, glass-walled conference room, the tension was palpable. The team members exchanged worried glances, aware of the stakes but unsure of how Ryan would handle the situation. Instead of launching into a list of demands and directives, Ryan began the meeting with an unexpected question. "I know we're facing significant challenges with this launch," he said, his tone measured and thoughtful. "But I want to hear from each of you. What are the biggest obstacles you're encountering, and how do you think we can overcome them together?" There was a moment of stunned silence. This was not the Ryan Blake they were used to, the domineering, decisive leader who always had the answers. Slowly, one by one, the team members began to speak. They discussed the technical issues, the supplier problems, and the mounting pressure from the market. They shared their frustrations and fears, but also their ideas and potential solutions. Ryan listened intently, nodding and asking clarifying questions. He could see the relief on their faces as they realized their concerns were being heard and valued. This open dialogue was a departure from the norm, and it fostered a sense of collaboration and mutual respect. As the meeting progressed, Ryan noticed Emma observing from the corner of the room, a faint smile of approval on her face. She had always believed in his potential to lead with empathy, and seeing him take these steps validated her faith in him. After gathering input from his team, Ryan outlined a new approach. They would form smaller, cross-functional task forces to address specific issues, each led by a team member who had demonstrated expertise in that area. This decentralized strategy not only leveraged their strengths but also empowered them to take ownership of the solutions. The shift in leadership style began to yield results. The team felt more engaged and motivated, their collective creativity sparked by the sense of shared responsibility. They worked long hours, but the atmosphere was charged with a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie. Despite the progress, the road was far from smooth. There were setbacks and moments of doubt, but Ryan remained committed to his new approach. He made it a point to check in regularly with each task force, offering support and encouragement rather than just oversight. His presence was no longer a source of fear but of solidarity. In one particularly challenging week, a critical supplier missed a major deadline, threatening to delay the entire launch. The team was on edge, and Ryan knew he needed to step up in a way that reinforced his commitment to their collective success. He gathered the team and addressed them with a blend of honesty and optimism. "We've hit a significant roadblock, and I won't pretend it's not a serious issue," he began. but I believe in this team. We've shown resilience and creativity in the face of challenges before, and we can do it again. Let's focus on finding a solution together." His words had a galvanizing effect. The team rallied, working tirelessly to secure an alternative supplier and reconfigure the production schedule. Ryan's leadership, rooted in empathy and trust, was proving to be a powerful force. The launch day arrived, and the atmosphere at Blake Industries was electric with anticipation. The software suite was unveiled to the market, receiving positive reviews and strong initial sales. The technical issues had been resolved, and the product was delivering on its promise to revolutionize data management. As Ryan stood before his team, thanking them for their hard work and dedication, he felt a profound sense of achievement. This victory was not just about the success of the product, but about the transformation within himself and his leadership style. He had faced professional challenges with a newfound empathy and connection, and it had made all the difference. The journey was far from over, but Ryan was no longer the isolated, driven leader he had once been. He was evolving, learning to balance ambition with compassion, and discovering that true success was built on the foundation of genuine human connections. As the launch of the new software suite approached, Emma Reed continued to play an integral role in the day-to-day operations at Blake Industries. Despite her impending departure, she remained committed to ensuring the success of the project and supporting Ryan through the company's challenges. Her presence was a calming influence, a steady hand guiding the team through the storm. Emma's office was a hive of activity, yet she handled the chaos with her usual poise. Her desk was covered with meticulously organized files and charts, each representing a piece of the complex puzzle they were working to solve. She coordinated between different departments, resolved conflicts, and provided critical updates to Ryan, all while maintaining an air of unflappable composure. One afternoon, as Emma was engrossed in a particularly thorny logistics issue, Ryan stepped into her office. He stood quietly for a moment, watching her work, appreciating the depth of her dedication. It was clear to him that Emma was more than just an assistant. She was the backbone of Blake Industries, the glue that held everything together. "Emma," Ryan began, breaking the silence, "I need to talk to you about something important." She looked up, sensing the gravity in his voice. "Of course, Ryan. What's on your mind?" Ryan took a seat across from her, his expression serious. "I've been thinking a lot about your decision to leave and how much you've meant to this company, and to me. I don't know how we'll manage without you, but I want to make sure that your transition is as smooth as possible." Emma nodded, appreciating his concern. "I've been working on a transition plan," she said, sliding a detailed document across the desk. "I've identified potential candidates who can take over my responsibilities, and I've outlined all the critical tasks and processes that need to be covered." Ryan glanced through the document, impressed by her thoroughness. "This is excellent, Emma, but I'm not just worried about the logistics. I'm also worried about you. How are you feeling about everything?" Emma smiled softly. "It's bittersweet, to be honest. I've loved my time here, and leaving isn't easy, but I know it's the right decision for me. I need to find my own path and see what else is out there." Ryan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "I respect that, Emma, more than you know, and I want you to know that you'll always have a place here, no matter what. Your contributions have been invaluable." In the days that followed, Emma worked tirelessly to ensure a seamless handover of her duties. She trained her successor, a bright and capable young woman named Grace, imparting years of knowledge and wisdom. She introduced Grace to key contacts, explained the nuances of various projects, and shared insights on how to navigate the intricate dynamics of Blake Industries. Ryan observed this transition with a mixture of pride and sadness. Emma's professionalism and dedication were evident in every interaction, every piece of advice she offered. Her influence would continue to shape the company long after she had left, a testament to the legacy she was leaving behind. But Emma's impact extended beyond her professional capabilities. She had a unique ability to connect with people on a personal level, to make them feel valued and understood. Her presence had a way of calming the storm, of bringing clarity to chaos. She was a confidant, a mentor, and a friend to many within the company. One evening, as the office was winding down, Emma found herself alone in the break room, sipping a cup of tea. Ryan joined her, carrying his own mug of coffee. They sat in companionable silence for a few moments, reflecting on the journey they had shared. "Emma," Ryan said finally, breaking the quiet, "I want to thank you for everything you've done, not just for the company, but for me personally. You've been a rock, and I don't know how I would have gotten through some of these challenges without you." Emma smiled, touched by his sincerity. "It's been my pleasure, Ryan. I've learned a lot here, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had. I know you're going to do great things, and I'm excited to see where Blake Industries goes from here." Ryan raised his mug in a toast. "To new beginnings, then, for both of us." Emma clinked her mug against his, a sense of closure and optimism settling between them. As she prepared to embark on her new journey, she knew that her time at Blake Industries had been meaningful and impactful, and she felt confident that, despite the challenges ahead, both she and Ryan were on paths that would lead to growth and fulfillment. Emma's departure marked the end of an era, but it also heralded the start of a new chapter. For Ryan, it was a chapter defined by the lessons she had imparted, the importance of empathy, the value of genuine connections, and the power of leading with both heart and mind. As Ryan delved deeper into his journey of self-discovery, he found himself increasingly haunted by fragments of his past. These memories, once buried beneath layers of ambition and determination, began to resurface, demanding his attention. It was during one of his sessions with Dr. Laura Grant that a pivotal revelation unfolded, one that would change the course of his personal and professional life. On a rainy afternoon, Ryan sat across from Dr. Grant in her cozy, book-lined office. The sound of raindrops tapping against the window provided a soothing backdrop as he recounted his recent efforts to lead with empathy and openness. Dr. Grant listened attentively, her perceptive eyes noting the subtle shifts in his demeanor. "Ryan, you've made remarkable progress," she began, her voice calm and encouraging. "But there's something I sense you're still grappling with, something deeper that needs to be addressed." Ryan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he knew was a long overdue confrontation with his past. "There's one memory that keeps coming back," he admitted. "It's from my childhood, something I've tried so hard to forget but can't seem to shake." Dr. Grant leaned forward slightly, her gaze compassionate and steady. "Tell me about it, Ryan. Sometimes, revisiting these memories can help us understand their impact and begin the healing process." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, summoning the courage to relive a painful chapter of his life. "It was when I was about 10 years old," he began, his voice tinged with a mix of sadness and regret. "My father had always been strict, demanding perfection in everything I did. I was used to it, but there was one day that stands out." He paused, the memory flooding back with vivid clarity. "I had entered a science competition at school. I worked so hard on my project, determined to win first place and make my father proud. When the results were announced, I came in second. I remember feeling devastated, but I thought my father would still be proud of my effort." Ryan's voice wavered as he continued. "But when I got home and showed him my second place ribbon, he barely looked at it. He just said, 'You can do better, Ryan. Second place is the first loser.' Those words, they've stuck with me all these years." Dr. Grant nodded, her expression one of deep empathy. "That must have been incredibly hurtful, especially for a child seeking validation and love." Ryan swallowed hard, feeling the old wound throb anew. "It was. From that moment on, I swore I'd never be anything less than perfect. I pushed myself harder and harder, but no matter what I achieved, it never felt like enough. I realized recently that I've been carrying that fear of inadequacy into everything I do." Dr. Grant allowed a moment of silence to let Ryan's words sink in. "Ryan, understanding the root of your drive for perfection is a crucial step. It's clear that your father's expectations have shaped your approach to success, but it's also important to recognize that you are not defined by those expectations." Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of clarity. "I want to move past this, to redefine what success means for me. I don't want to be trapped by those old fears anymore." Dr. Grant offered a reassuring smile. "You're already on the right path, Ryan. Healing takes time, but by confronting these memories and understanding their impact, you're giving yourself the opportunity to grow and change." In the weeks that followed, Ryan continued to reflect on this revelation. He began to see how his relentless pursuit of perfection had affected not only himself but also those around him. He had driven his team hard, expecting the same uncompromising standards he had set for himself, often at the expense of their well-being and his own connections with them. Determined to break this cycle, Ryan made a conscious effort to be more supportive and understanding. He acknowledged the hard work and achievements of his employees, offering genuine praise and encouragement. He started to share more of his own struggles and journey, creating an atmosphere of openness and trust. One afternoon, during a company-wide meeting, Ryan decided to address his team. He stood before them, feeling a mixture of nerves and resolve. "I want to thank all of you for your dedication and hard work," he began. "I also want to share something personal. I've realized that my drive for perfection has often led me to set unrealistic expectations, both for myself and for all of you. I'm working to change that, to be more supportive and understanding." He paused, looking around the room at the faces of his employees. "We're a team, and I want to build a culture where we support each other, where we celebrate our successes and learn from our setbacks together. I'm committed to being the best leader I can be, and that means acknowledging my own imperfections and striving to improve." The room was silent for a moment, then filled with a warm, supportive applause. Ryan felt a weight lift from his shoulders, a sense of liberation in embracing his vulnerability and sharing his journey. This revelation marked a turning point for Ryan Blake. It was the beginning of a new era at Blake Industries, one defined by empathy, connection, and a more holistic approach to success. Ryan's past had shaped him, but it no longer controlled him. He was forging a new path, one where he could lead with both strength and compassion, and find fulfillment not just in achievement, but in the relationships and growth along the way. Ryan Blake's journey of self-discovery had begun to bear fruit, and the changes were becoming evident to everyone around him. With his newfound understanding and empathy, Ryan was determined to transform not only himself but also the culture at Blake Industries. The upcoming company retreat presented the perfect opportunity to put his new approach into action. The retreat was held at a serene lakeside resort, a welcome break from the bustling city. As the employees arrived, there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. The agenda was packed with team-building exercises, workshops, and discussions designed to foster collaboration and innovation. But Ryan had something different in mind for the opening session. On the first morning, the employees gathered in a spacious conference hall overlooking the lake. Ryan stood at the front, his demeanor calm yet resolute. He began by addressing the team with a warmth and openness that surprised many. "Good morning, everyone," Ryan started, his voice steady. "I want to begin by saying how grateful I am for each one of you. Your hard work and dedication are what make Blake Industries a success. But today, I want to talk about something more personal." He paused, allowing his words to sink in. "When I started this journey of self-discovery, I realized that success is not just about what we achieve, but how we achieve it. It's about the relationships we build, the trust we foster, and the support we offer each other." There was a ripple of nods and murmurs of agreement throughout the room. Ryan continued, "Over the past months, I've seen incredible growth not just in our projects but in our culture. We've become more open, more collaborative, and more empathetic, and that's something we should all be proud of." He glanced over at Grace, his new assistant, who smiled encouragingly. "I've learned that being a leader means being willing to grow and change, to listen and understand, and to lead with both strength and compassion. And I've seen that same willingness in all of you." Ryan's gaze swept across the room, meeting the eyes of his employees. "I want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication, but more importantly, for your trust and support. Together, we've built something truly special here, and I am excited for what the future holds." As the meeting progressed, Ryan outlined the company's goals and strategies for the coming quarter. But the atmosphere was different now, charged with a sense of unity and purpose that had been missing before. Ryan's leadership had transformed from a top-down directive to a collaborative partnership, and it was making all the difference. Later that evening, Ryan found himself in his office, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He thought about the early days of his career, the relentless drive for perfection, and the walls he had built around himself. He thought about Emma and the pivotal role she had played in his transformation. And he thought about the future, filled with possibilities and challenges he was now ready to face with a new perspective. As he sat there, the city lights twinkling outside his window, Ryan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had learned that true success was not just about achieving goals, but about the journey, the growth, and the connections made along the way. He had become a leader who valued his team, who led with empathy, and who inspired others to be their best selves. Ryan knew there would still be challenges ahead, but he also knew that he was not alone. He had a team that believed in him and a newfound resilience that would carry him through. The journey of transformation had made him a better leader, a better colleague, and a better person. As he prepared to leave the office, Ryan glanced at the photo on his desk, a picture of him and his team taken during the recent retreat. It was a reminder of how far they had come and how much they had achieved together. With a smile, he turned off the lights and stepped into the cool night air, ready to face whatever the future held. Ryan Blake had evolved, not just as a CEO but as a human being. His journey of self-discovery had led him to a place of balance, empathy, and genuine connection. And as he walked into the night, he felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be. As Ryan Blake continued to transform both himself and Blake Industries, one relationship remained at the forefront of his mind: his connection with Emma Reed. Her departure had been a catalyst for his journey, and now, months later, he felt a deep need to reconnect with the person who had been instrumental in his growth. Ryan had kept in touch with Emma sporadically, exchanging emails and occasional phone calls, but he knew it was time for a face-to-face conversation. He reached out to her and suggested meeting for coffee. Emma agreed, and they arranged to meet at a cozy cafe they used to frequent during particularly stressful days at work. The day of their meeting, Ryan arrived early, his thoughts a mix of anticipation and reflection. The cafe was warm and inviting, filled with the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the hum of quiet conversations. He chose a table by the window, watching the world outside as he waited. Emma arrived a few minutes later, her presence as calming as ever. She smiled warmly as she approached, and Ryan stood to greet her. "Emma, it's so good to see you," he said, genuinely relieved to see her. "It's good to see you too, Ryan," she replied, taking a seat across from him. "How have you been?" Ryan took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "I've been learning a lot," he said with a hint of a smile. "It's been a challenging few months, but also incredibly rewarding. And a lot of that is thanks to you." Emma looked at him, her eyes softening. "I'm glad to hear that. I've been following Blake Industries, and I can see the changes. It's impressive." They spent the next hour catching up, discussing the developments at Blake Industries and Emma's new ventures. Ryan shared stories of his efforts to foster a more supportive and collaborative work environment, and Emma spoke about the new opportunities and challenges she was embracing. After a while, the conversation turned more personal. "Emma, I want to thank you," Ryan said, his tone earnest. "Your decision to leave was a wake-up call for me. It forced me to confront a lot of things about myself that I had been ignoring. You've always been there for me, and even in your departure, you've continued to guide me." Emma smiled, touched by his words. "Ryan, you've always had the potential to be an amazing leader. I'm glad you're finding your way." Ryan hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "I've realized how much I relied on you, not just for your competence, but for your understanding and support. You saw things in me that I couldn't see in myself, and that's something I'll always be grateful for." Emma reached across the table and placed her hand over his. "Ryan, you've come a long way, and it means a lot to hear you say that, but you should also give yourself credit for the changes you've made. You've done the hard work, and it shows." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the connection between them stronger than ever. "I'd like us to stay in touch," Ryan said finally. "Your insight and friendship have been invaluable to me, and I don't want to lose that." Emma nodded. "I'd like that too, Ryan. We've been through a lot together, and I believe there's more we can learn from each other." As they finished their coffee, Ryan felt a sense of closure and renewal. Reconnecting with Emma had reaffirmed the lessons he had learned and the progress he had made. It also reminded him that true leadership was about relationships, about the people who supported and challenged him to be better. Leaving the cafe, Ryan felt lighter, more hopeful. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he was no longer walking it alone. He had the support of his team, the guidance of his mentors, and the friendship of Emma, who had been there from the beginning. Reconnecting with Emma had brought his transformation full circle, reinforcing the importance of empathy, connection, and continuous growth. As he looked ahead to the future, Ryan was ready to embrace whatever challenges and opportunities lay ahead, knowing that he had the strength and support to navigate them with grace and determination. Months had passed since Ryan Blake began his journey of transformation. The changes he had made in his leadership style and within Blake Industries were now evident to everyone around him. Ryan had become a leader who not only drove results but also nurtured the people who made those results possible. His journey was far from over, but he was no longer the same man he had been. One crisp autumn morning, Ryan stood before his team in the spacious auditorium of Blake Industries. The room was filled with anticipation as employees gathered for the quarterly meeting. The past few months had seen remarkable progress, both in the company's projects and in the camaraderie among its people. Ryan took a deep breath, looking out at the sea of faces, each one a testament to the hard work and dedication that had brought them here. "Good morning, everyone," he began, his voice warm and confident. "Today, I want to talk about more than just our numbers and milestones. milestones. I want to talk about what it means to be a part of Blake Industries. He paused, allowing his words to sink in. When I started this journey of self-discovery, I realized that success is not just about what we achieve, but how we achieve it. It's about the relationships we build, the trust we foster, and the support we offer each other. There was a ripple of nods and murmurs of agreement throughout the room. Ryan continued, over the past months, I've seen incredible growth not just in our projects but in our culture. We've become more open, more collaborative, and more empathetic, and that's something we should all be proud of. He glanced over at Grace, his new assistant, who smiled encouragingly. I've learned that being a leader means being willing to grow and change, to listen and understand, and to lead with both strength and compassion. And I've seen that same willingness in all of you. Ryan's gaze swept across the room, meeting the eyes of his employees. I want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication, but more importantly, for your trust and support. Together, we've built something truly special here, and I am excited for what the future holds. As the meeting progressed, Ryan outlined the company's goals and strategies for the coming quarter. But the atmosphere was different now, charged with a sense of unity and purpose that had been missing before. Ryan's leadership had transformed from a top-down directive to a collaborative partnership, and it was making all the difference. Later that evening, Ryan found himself in his office, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He thought about the early days of his career, the relentless drive for perfection, and the walls he had built around himself. He thought about Emma and the pivotal role she had played in his transformation. And he thought about the future, filled with possibilities and challenges he was now ready to face with a new perspective. As he sat there, the city lights twinkling outside his window, Ryan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had learned that true success was not just about achieving goals, but about the journey, the growth, and the connections made along the way. He had become a leader who valued his team, who led with empathy, and who inspired others to be their best selves. Ryan knew there would still be challenges ahead, but he also knew that he was not alone. He had a team that believed in him and a newfound resilience that would carry him through. The journey of transformation had made him a better leader, a better colleague, and a better person. As he prepared to leave the office, Ryan glanced at the photo on his desk, a picture of him and his team taken during the recent retreat. It was a reminder of how far they had come and how much they had achieved together. With a smile, he turned off the lights and stepped into the cool night air, ready to face whatever the future held. Ryan Blake had evolved, not just as a CEO but as a human being. His journey of self-discovery had led him to a place of balance, empathy, and genuine connection. And as he walked into the night, he felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be.